Grade 8s, welcome to our last assignment of the year. Woohoo! All right, this is going to be due on Friday, unfortunately, because report cards have to be in the following week, so we need to get everything in. All right, here we go. So this is on graphing of linear equations. Now, if you look at the word linear, you can see the word line in it. So we're going to be graphing an equation that is going to form a line, okay? Now, if it doesn't form a perfect line where you take the edge of a ruler and you're able to mark all of the points along that same edge, it means you have made some kind of a mistake. You need to go back and look and see where you're making your mistake. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to use a table of values, and I'll talk about how to do that. With that, we're going to find some ordered pairs. Last week, you were plotting ordered pairs. You're going to take those ordered pairs and plot the points on the graph to form a line. Okay? So here we start off with the rules or the steps. The first thing is to create a table of values, and we're going to always use the same x values. We're going to start at -2, and we're going to go to -1, 0, +1, and then +2. So those 5 numbers we're going to use always in our table of values. So everybody's points will look the same on that line. Now, what are we going to do with those 5 numbers? We're going to substitute those values into the equation. So those are x's, so we're going to put those numbers in for x. And then what will we do? We will calculate, following BEDMAS, the 5 y values. Remember, an x and a y make a point that we can put on a graph. So those 5 x's are going to give us 5 y values, which is going to give us 5 points. So we're going to list then the 5 ordered pairs, which are points that you're then going to plot those 5 points on the graph. And then you're going to draw a line through those points. And the line doesn't start and end with those 5. We're just finding those 5. That line, in fact, goes on infinitely in both directions. So we need to put arrows at the ends of the lines on both the left and the right side to show that the line goes on forever. Okay, let's look at our first example. So what are we going to do? Here is the start of a table of values. So we're going to put x first and then y. And then you're going to substitute -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2 into your table of values. Now I'm going to take those 5 values of x and I'm going to put them into this equation. So the x is going to go in as -2 starting off. So here's our first substitution to figure out what y equals. So y is equal to x plus 5. So I'm going to put -2 in for our first x. And remember, we always use a bracket for substitution. And then we're going to add 5 to that. Well, what does -2 plus 5 equal? You can go ahead and use your calculators or think 2 cold and 5 hot. That gives us 3. Okay? So when x is -2, y is going to be 3. All right? Now, we're going to go to our second value. We're going to put -1 in where our x is. So we're going to have -1 and then add 5 to that x. And that's going to tell us what our y equals. So -1 plus 5 gives us +4. All we're doing is taking and substituting these numbers in where the x is. Then we're adding the 5, and that's going to equal the y. All right? Go to the next number. 0 is substituted in. Add 5 to the 0, and 0 plus 5 gives us 5. The next number is 1 substituted in. 1 plus 5 gives us 6. Substitute the next number in, and 2 plus 5 gives us 7. Now, these are called linear relations, because these numbers are related to each other. Now, we've chosen 5 values here that are going to go up by 1. What we see happening to the y values is that they should also be related in some way. to each other. Not necessarily be the same as the x's, but they should be related to each other. So in fact, when we start with the first 3, then it goes to a 4, then it goes to a 5, then it goes to a 6, then it goes to a 7. So each of these are going up by 1 each time. Now, just because the x's went up by 1 does not mean the y's go up by 1, but in this case they do. Okay, now those are going to create ordered pairs. So our first ordered pair is this number for the x and that number for the y. So the ordered pair are going to be -2 and 3. Remember, an ordered pair has a comma and it's sitting in a bracket. Okay, the next ordered pair is -1 and 4. So -1 and 4. Keep moving and we're going to have 5 ordered pairs, 0 and 5, 1 and 6, and 2 and 7. So you're going to get marks for, in fact, starting out with the 5 values of x. Then you're going to get 2 marks for substituting and calculating your y's. And then you're going to get a mark for listing the ordered pairs. The next thing we need to do is we need to graph those ordered pairs. So that, remember, x goes left first, which is left and right, and y goes second, which is up and down. Okay? So in our first ordered pair, we're going to go left to -2, and then we're going to go up to +3. There's our first point. Okay? The second point, we're going to go left 1, and we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. The third point, we're going to stay at 0 in the x direction, so nowhere left and right, and then we're going to go up 5, so straight up 5. Then we're going to go 1 in the x direction, which takes us right 1 and up 6, so right 1 and up 6. And then lastly, right 2 and up 7. So notice how these points all form a line. They should all sit on a straight line. Now, it doesn't mean that the line starts here and ends there, okay? In fact, it goes on infinitely. And there should be a pattern in how the points are located. In this case, you go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. That means that we could go up 1 and right 1, and in fact, there would be a point that would be located here. In the opposite direction, we're going to go down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. There'd be another point there. Now, we only have to plot the 5 and find the 5, but we have to indicate that there's more points than that. So we're going to put arrows on the ends of those lines. Notice they go past the last point, and then they have arrows. So now you're going to get 2 marks for plotting your points correctly, as well as drawing the line with arrows. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points in total for the graphs. Okay, let's go to a second example, one that's a little bit more complicated. Okay, and it's only more complicated because there's more calculating to be done to find the y's. All right, start in the same way. X gets 5 values, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now remember, each of these we chose to just go up by 1. So that's a pattern that we see there every single time we choose those numbers. Let's see what happens when we figure out our y's. So we're going to substitute those numbers in for our x, and then we'll figure out what our y is. So we're going to have 4 minus 2 times our x value. So we're going to substitute our first value in there is going to be -2. So 4 minus 2 bracket -2. Now we have to do some calculating here. Remember, you have to do BEDMAS. So BEDMAS says we have to do brackets first. Well, there's nothing in there but just a number. No exponents. And then we're going to multiply and divide. So here's our multiply. So -2 times -2 gives us +4. So bring down the next number, and 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. So when x is -2, y is 8. We got our first number. Okay? I'm just going to draw a line. We're going to do our next number. Substitute it in. So 4 minus 2, and then in this bracket where the x was, right, we're substituting our next number in, which is -1. So now again, nothing to do in the brackets, no exponents, we're going to multiply first. So -2 times -1 gives us +2, and then 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So our next number is 6. Okay, we'll move on to the third value. So again, 4 minus 2, and then we're going to substitute the next number in using a bracket. So 4 minus 2 bracket 0. So now we're going to multiply. -2 times 0 is just 0, and 4 minus 0 is just 4. So our next number is 4. Now, some of you may be able to start seeing a pattern here. Don't think that doing one calculation is going to give you a pattern. So what's happening to the 8 to go to the 6? Well, that's going down by 2. And then from the 6 to the 4, it's going to go down by 2. So what should be happening with the next number? We should be going down by 2, and 4 down by 2 is going to give you 2. And then the last one, 2 down by 2, should give you 4. So we can, in fact, finish off the table of values if we figured out the consistent pattern. Now, I don't want to just rely on that. I want to make sure. So I'm going to check with my last value there. Okay, so we're going to have 4, which is our first number here, right? 4 subtract 2, and then I'm going to substitute the 2 into there. So 4 subtract 2 bracket 2. So now we're going to multiply first. -2 times 2 gives us -4, and 4 minus 4 gives us 0. And whoa, I made a mistake here, right? 4, if we're going down by 2, I went up by 2. Maybe some of you caught that, right? So we should be going down by 2 each time. And in fact, when we do that, I caught my mistake, and this number should be a 0. Okay, so in fact, that does meet the pattern there, that in this case, the x's go up by 1, but the y's go down by 2. Now we need to list the ordered pairs. Okay, just going to substitute OP for ordered pairs. So what are they? They are -2, 8. They are -1, 6. They are 0, 4. They are 1, 2, and they are 2, 0. All right, now, again, 1 mark for substituting in the 5 values of x, 2 marks for figuring out the y's, another mark for listing the ordered pairs. Now we need to graph the points. So -2 at 8, remember we go left and right first, so this tells us to go left 2, and then up 8. Now this graph only goes to 6, 7. I'm just going to go approximately where the 8 would be. Okay, start back at the origin. I'm going left 1 and up 6. The next one, I'm going nowhere left and right. I'm just going to go up 4. And then right 1 and up 2. And right 2 and nowhere up and down. Now again, we should have a consistent pattern with these points. If I look at this graph, to go from one point to the other, I'm going down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. The pattern should be consistent within the graph. We need to draw the line through our points and past the last and the first point and put arrows on that. Okay, so we are getting 2 marks for the graph. That gives us, again, a total of 6. All right, I want to do one more because this one is a little more difficult. What makes it more difficult is that the x and the y are on the same side of the equation. Okay, so we have to use our algebra skills here. We need to get y all by itself to solve for that. Okay, just like the other ones, we're going to start with -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So those are 5 chosen values we're always using for our x. Now we're going to take those numbers and we're going to substitute them into there. So what does that mean we're going to have? we're going to have -2 in a bracket plus our y is going to equal -2. So now I need to get y all by itself. So how do I get rid of -2? Well, you should know from solving equations we have to add 2. That means we're going to add 2 to the other side. That becomes a 0 and we have our y all by itself, and y is equal to -2 plus 2, which gives us 0. So when x was -2, y is going to be 0. All right, let's go to another example, or I mean the next value. Okay, so we're substituting -1 in where our x was. So -1 goes in, and then what do we have next? Plus y equals -2. So again, we need to get y all by itself. So what do? We have to get rid of the -1. So we're going to add 1. That means we're going to add 1 to the other side. -1 plus 1 becomes a 0, and now y is all by itself. And y is going to equal -2 plus 1, which is -1. I'm going to do a third example. Okay, now I'm going to substitute in 0. So 0 is going to go in where the x is, plus y equals -2. Well, most of you should recognize that y plus 0 is just y. So in fact, y is all by itself. So y is equal to -2. Well, what's happening here with our y's? We're going from 0 down to -1. That means we're subtracting 1. Then we subtract another 1. So that gives us -2. What should the next number be? It should be -3. And the last number, again, subtracting 1, should be -4. Now I want to double check the last number just to make sure that I'm right. So I'm going to substitute in 2. So 2 is going to go in where the x was. And then we're going to have plus y is equal to -2. So now we want to get y all by itself. How do we get rid of +2? Well, we're going to subtract 2. If we subtract 2 from the left, we have to subtract 2 from the right. That becomes a 0 next to our y, and now y is equal to -2, and -2 give us -4, and in fact that number was correct. Okay, so that's our pattern, going down by 1 in this case. This one goes up by 1. Okay, we're going to list our ordered pairs. So the first one is -2, 0, -1, -1, right? I'm just taking these from the table of values. Then 0, -2, 1, -3, and 2, -4. Okay, commas between them and in brackets. So remember, you're getting 1 mark for listing those 5 values of x. You're getting 2 marks for working out the correct y's. You're going to get a mark for the ordered pairs. Now we need to graph those ordered pairs. So left 2 and nowhere up and down. There's our first point. Then we go left 1 and we go down 1. So left 1, down 1. Then we go nowhere left and right and we go down 2. Then we go right 1, down 3. And then we go right 2, down 4. And again, we should see a consistent pattern. So in this case, we're going down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. Make sure that it's a consistent pattern. That means that all those points will be on a line. So draw your line before and after the last point and put arrows on them. There is 1, 2 marks for the graph, so 6 marks each. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you are showing your work as you complete the assignment. And again, it's going to be due on a Friday. Take care. Your marks for your report card should be coming out the following week as well. All right, bye-bye.